Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday, as we are always here on Saturday mornings, except for those couple times, we did not do it on Saturdays. We moved to Sundays, but we are back here for Underdog Fantasy Picks here. Hold on, I don't know why my stream is not showing up here. Whatever. Anyway. Here we are yet again. We are here every single weekend making our picks. So before we get too much further, I always want to say thank you so much to Underdog Fantasy for the sponsorship here. And as always, if you have not already, use my code TJS to sign up with Underdog Fantasy. It'll help you get some bonus funds here. If you do a $5 wager, you will get $100 in bonus funds by using that code TJS at sign up. Once again, TJS at Underdog Fantasy for first-time users will get that bonus. You guys can play along with me here, and, hopefully we win some money. And like always, want to thank Underdog for the sponsorship. So let's get into it. Like always, I want to explain where I come from, where I look at these things, everything like that. Normally, you want to do a ticket, the smaller the better. That's where you're most likely going to win. That's what the smart money does. That's what you're going to do to usually win money. 2 to 3 to 4 picks, something in that range of guys you feel good about. I'm going to do the full ticket. I'm looking to do about a full 8-player ticket. I do a morning lineup, an afternoon lineup. Today I'll be doing Saturday lineup. So I like to do it, mix and match that way. That is not the best way to make money. It is just a way to try to hit a home run. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to maximize my payout, looking at each situation, each matchup, and each player at what I think they could possibly do. And obviously, this week, we're going to do something we tend to not do. I like to take a lot of the overs, and that's because I don't like to root against, players not doing well, things like that. I like to, want to keep rooting for the guys to keep producing and everything like that. So I usually take the hires. Today, though, we are going to be taking a few more lowers just because if they give us the option for teams that are most likely going to be resting players, we're going to take the lower on those depending on what that line is. So we're going to take a look at everything today. Like I said, you can do exactly what I'm doing here. You can listen to what I'm talking about analytically, looking at, defensive rankings, everything like that. Do exactly what I do. Do the opposite of what I do. Build an 8-player ticket, build a 4-player ticket. Do what you want to do. This is all just to try to help you make a better wager, make a better decision on playing, certain guys for Underdog Fantasy. So, without much further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. We are going to start here. I want to collapse all. Where's my collapse all option? Oh, we're at home. Sorry, my bad. Let's jump over to NFL. Starting off this morning. Great. There we go. Let's collapse all. Let's jump into the Carolina-Tampa Bay game here. Starting off, I am looking at Mike Evans. Now, receiving-wise, he has been quite a disappointment here. 31 yards in both games, but he has gotten a touchdown in both of those games. But what I'm looking at are these targets here. This is for the division. Carolina and Tampa Bay are playing for their division respectively. And they just played each other a few weeks ago. So we kind of have basically a baseline of what they could do. 9 targets after getting 6.5 targets after getting 9 against Carolina and 7 against Miami last week in a game that they have to win. I'm going to take the higher on Mike Evans. He's a red zone guy. He's a guy who likes to be targeted in the red zone. And I just think that's going to carry over in such a big game that they need to win. This is a game the Panthers or Bucks have to win. So let's take a look at both teams real quick. Forgot to jump into that. Got too excited about Mike Evans. So the Panthers have allowed the 27th most points to quarterbacks. So they're very good. Running back, different situation. They've allowed 7th. Wide receiver, 24th. Tight end, 16th. Looking at the Buccaneers, they've allowed the 3rd most points to quarterback, 11th to running back, 17th to wide receiver, and 5th to tight end. And if we look at their defenses as a whole, total, we're looking at the Panthers are ranked at 15th and the Buccaneers are 20th. Passing-wise, we have the Panthers at 14th and the Buccaneers at 26th. Rushing-wise, we have the Buccaneers tied at 7th with the Patriots. And we have the Panthers at 19th. So, there's definitely places you can look here and attack. And going to be carrying over with where the weaknesses are for both teams. When we look at Carolina, what is their big weakness that really stands out? It's running back. So let's go ahead and look at Bucky Irving. I've loved Bucky since joining the league. He's been a great player, great Oregon alum. So let's look at what he can do realistically here. Against Carolina, he had 19 touches for 71 yards. Didn't do great against Miami. Can't deny that. Did absolutely horrible against Miami. But against Carolina, much better game. We're looking at 60 yards he's got to get in a must-win game. I'll trust it. It's got to bust if he gets a big one, maybe a 20-yard rush. That's very doable here. So I like Bucky Irving, especially with how bad they've been, the Panthers, against the running back. So we have to move over to the Panthers side of the ball. So where are we going to go? We're going to go to Ted McMillan. I can't quit this kid. He has been amazing for them. He's been a great player, and I'm just going to trust him again here. When you look at what he did against Tampa Bay a few weeks ago, 10 targets, 6 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown. I like it. I like it a lot. It's inconsistent here, 4-4, 2-7. So, it's asking a big get here, but the 10 targets, it's tempting. But I want to look more at the yards. I think he's going to have a bigger game in the yard situation at 62. He's already got 73 there. He's had some up and down games, obviously, but this is a must-win game for them and a division rival and a very beatable defense. I think Tech can get that 62 yards. Definitely a very doable situation. Now, this is a guy I think is just going to light it up. I know what you're thinking. Yes, the Panthers are very good against the quarterback. But Baker Mayfield is one of those players who just kind of gets it done. I think 221 is basically definitely doable for him. We look at what he did against Carolina last time, 145. Horrible game. He's going to come back better than that, though. Miami, 346. That's more of a bounce back game, getting him where he needs to be. And I think he's going to come back at that 221 and hammer that home. So that's where I'm locking that in. Those would be my 4 for the morning game today at 3:30 Central Time. So let's go ahead and clear this out and move on to the evening game. Another division title, Seattle at San Francisco. This is going to be one of the best games of the week. Obviously, both teams have a lot to play for, so let's look at where both of them are. So San Francisco, 13th against quarterback, 14th against running back, 13th against wide receivers, 7th against tight end. Seattle, 23rd against quarterback, 31st against running back, 26th against wide receiver, and 10th against tight end. Both of them struggle against tight end, but only one of them has a tight end that I really trust basically week in, week out. And that's going to be George Kittle, and I'm going to take him at that 63 yards. That just seems like very doable. Again, division game. If we're looking at where the Seahawks are weak, it is that tight end position, giving up 10th of most points in the league. I just think it's a done deal at that point. Again, nothing's a guarantee, but if we're looking at this realistically, where the action is going to be, it's going to be George Kittle. I just think 63 yards is very doable for him. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. My bad. Anyway, so George Kittle is definitely the one I'm looking at 63 yards. So, on the other side of the ball, we're looking at JSN. He has been solid all year. However, the 98.5 seems a little high. As you can see, he's gotten it 3 weeks here. Didn't get it last week against Carolina. Did not get it against Minnesota. I think he got hurt, though. I believe he got hurt. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just one of those things where I am not trusting the yardage here. I'm going to trust the targets 10.5. Getting 11 targets, it's something that's definitely more doable in a must-win game for them. So I'm looking at JSN at 11. He's Sam Darnold's favorite target. He's gotten the work for him. He's just, I don't know. I have a gut feeling about that one. But speaking of Sam Darnold, we are looking at the man to get, I'm taking the 1.5 touchdowns. I think he needs 3 to get a bonus. So I think they're going to definitely be trying to get that to him. Does he get 3? I don't know. But I think 2 is definitely doable. I think they're going to look to do that. So I'm going to take Sam Darnold at that 1.5 touchdowns at the higher. Now, this is hard getting the fourth one because there's a lot of good matchups here, but how do you go wrong against Christian McCaffrey? It's hard to not trust him. It should be a game where he gets a lot of volume. I'm going to take the 117 rushing and receiving yards and call it a day. These would be my 4 right here. Absolutely all day right there. So, just trying to think. Because the JSN now the targets are scaring me. Because I think it's doable. I think it's definitely there. Let's take it down to 9.5. Give him that 10. Take that higher. That I feel a little bit more. Oh, what are my errors? Oh. My bad. There we go. That feels more doable. 10 targets, yeah. So let's go ahead and combine these two. Let's just do a Saturday game. So we're going to take that higher on the rushing yards. We're going to take Mike Evans' targets. We're going to take Tet's receiving yards. And we are going to take Baker's passing yards here. So we're going to enter that for $5. Get that in there for it to win 154 for today. Confirming that, locking that in. Okay, so that is our morning, well, not morning, our Saturday games. We're locking those in. Okay, let's clear that ticket. Let's now move on to Sunday. Sunday. Starting with Dallas and the New York Football Giants. So I'm just getting my notes here. So, this game is a little difficult just because both teams are playing for nothing, but it's a divisional game, and I don't think they're resting their starters, I don't believe. Let's just see, because Yahoo has an article here. Let's just find the Cowboys. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm not seeing the Cowboys here. So I don't know how all out this game is going to be. So it's making me nervous. They're not even giving Pickens and Lamb lines at this point. So it's kind of hard to build that. However, I would take the lower on CD for that touchdown. If these are the options I'm getting, I'm taking that CD lower touchdown. I don't know why they're playing this kid. I mean, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's let's let him rest. But I don't know. They've been letting him go all out. So let's just go ahead. 206 yards against a division rival, against the Cowboys, which let's just take a look here. First against quarterback, 8th against running back, 1st against wide receivers. So there's definitely this is a good confidence builder for Dart to go into the offseason. So yeah, let's go ahead and take that. Giants have given up 7th most points to quarterback, 5th to running back, 8th to wide receiver, 24th to tight end. So there are definitely options there, but you're not really getting a lot here. So I usually try to do 3 to 4, but as you can see, they're not even giving you a ton of options here at this point. I don't know if this is just a Saturday thing or if they're going to correct it later, but I also like Aubrey to get 2 field goals. So those would be my 3 in this, just to round that out. So let's go ahead and move on there. New Orleans, Atlanta. So again, 2 teams not really playing for anything divisional game, but they're actually giving you some options here. So it's hard not to like Bijan. So let's just look at the numbers. Atlanta Falcons, 18th in quarterback, 14th running back, 10th wide receiver, 30th against tight end. As for the New Orleans Saints, 26th against quarterback, 17th against running back, 22nd against wide receiver, and 20th against tight end. It's hard to not like Bijan here. He's caught fire lately. Let's just go ahead. Let's take that higher at 84 yards and just trust that. I like to see Shock again, a rookie quarterback that is going to be needing to build some confidence. Let's go ahead and get in that passing yards. He's been pretty good at that. Hasn't hit it only against Tampa Bay, so I think this could be a game where he definitely gets some work there. it's hard not to like Drake London, but it's just that Rams game scares me. That defense is good. Arizona's is not. Only put a 27, but Carolina, boom. Indy, boom. New England, boom. So I'm going to trust him here at 59 yards. I think he can do it. Again, it's a game they're not playing for a lot. It's going to the offseason. It's padding numbers, going for bonuses, things like that. So that's why I'm kind of leaning a little more towards trusting this matchup. So those would be the three here I'm looking at. Not much else there. Again, it's hard with these games that they're really not playing for anything, but those would be the three I'm looking at here. So let's go ahead and remove that. Green Bay, Minnesota. So Green Bay, Minnesota. Green Bay actually is going to the playoffs, but I think they are resting because, yeah, we only have Vikings players. So with that said, we are going to be skipping this matchup altogether just because, again, it's hard to say one team over the other when you only get one team. Because, yeah, I don't even like Jefferson. Why even play him? Yeah, they're not even giving me targets. Like, they're going to rest him. So let's take the lower on that. If anything, I'm taking that lower on JJ. So. All right. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Now, not a lot to play for in this game as well. I think it's more of a Joe Burrow going out there and just balling out because he's been hurt and just getting his rhythm back for next year. And there is one thing that the Browns are playing for, and we are going to definitely be going after it because I think it's going to happen today. I think the man gets a sack. If you are braver, go for the 1.5. But definitely think he gets a sack today. We're going to trust that he gets home. Didn't get any last week, which sucks. He's cleared for week 18. They're letting him go for the record. So I like him to get a sack today for sure. Now, as for everyone else, Joe Burrow, I like him to get over 242 passing yards. Again, if anything, this is an audition tape. If he's not going to be staying with Cincinnati, it's a tape for him to basically show what he can do and basically, hopefully, either get a trade next year or have the Bengals invest more into a team that he can actually, use. I mean, granted, he has two of the best wide receivers, but that O-line could use some work and that defense needs some work. Anyway, before I go on a long tangent, let's just look at it. Cincinnati, fourth most to quarterback, first to running back, 28th to wide receiver, and first to tight end. That is terrible. They need to revamp that defense. My God. As for the Cleveland Browns, they've given with the 30th points to quarterback, 16th to running back, 30th to wide receiver, and 17th to tight end. So, we like Joe to throw the ball. I like Chase Brown to run the ball. 62 yards, I think, is very doable. So, we are going to trust that wholeheartedly and just get that in there. I like Jamar if they let him play. Again, I don't know how much they're going to let these guys play. So I'm going to just stick it with these three. I think these three are the ones that you can trust. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. All right. Indianapolis at Houston. So this is a game where guys are actually playing for something. The Texans still have an outside shot at the division. They have a chance at getting a home field game if the Jaguars lose, and D'Amico Ryan's already said they're going to be playing their guys. So, with all of that said, we are going to be looking at more Houston Texans, but there is going to be a player that we don't want to say attack, but you'll get what I'm laying down here. So, let's look at the Colts as a whole. 14th to quarterback, 24th to running back, 4th to wide receiver, 8th tight end. Houston Texans, 31st to quarterback, 23rd to running back, 31st to wide receiver, 21st to tight end. Nico has not had great games the last few weeks. He's gotten his receptions down, but I like him to get his receiving yards this week. I think this is a get-right game to go in the playoffs, get him locked and loaded and ready to move on. I like Dalton Schultz in this game. Again, he's been a reliable target for CJ. Last week only got 3 against the Chargers, but 5 against the Raiders, 8 against the Cardinals, 7 against the Colts last time. Going to take him at the 4.5 receptions just because they won't give me targets. If they gave me targets, I would take that all day, every day. Let's go. Riley Leonard. When he did get to play against Jacksonville, 145. Jacksonville's a good defense. I don't see him going against the Texans defense, who have allowed, again, the 31st fewest points to the quarterback. And let's just look at their passing defense, just where it's ranked on Fox here. 4th best passing defense. The Jags were the 22nd best passing defense. So he was only able to get on 19 attempts, 145, or 29 attempts, 145 yards. I'm not trusting him with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter to not just be in his face all day, the whole game, and just, yeah, I don't trust it. I like CJ here too. 213 yards because 276 last time against the Colts. They're still playing for something. Definitely like that one. And again, normally I'm not this heavy on one team, but just again, the Texans have something to play for. The other teams do not. So these would be the 4 I am writing into that game. So let's go ahead and clear that one out and move on to the other big game that matters, Tennessee and Jacksonville. So I am taking Tony Pollard in this game because I believe he needs something like 60 yards to get a bonus. So I'm going to trust that they're going to feed him the ball this week and try to get him that bonus. So Tony Pollard taking that 65.5 rushing yards, even against the Jaguars, who have only given up the 30 most points to running backs, the volume is going to be there for Tony Pollard because, again, they're going to want him to, I think it's like a $500,000 bonus. They're going to want to get him that bonus. So I'm going to trust that there. On the other side, we are loading up with Jaguars. So let's just see where we're going. 9th to quarterback, 13th to running back, 7th to wide receiver, 15th to tight end. So we're going to trust this. I like Jacoby Myers here. I don't know why they're not. Oh, they are giving targets. Okay, I like Jacoby Myers here. He has been a reliable target for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm trusting those 8 targets here. I think that's definitely doable. I'm not touching Brian Thomas with a 10-foot pole. So let's go ahead and look at T-Law. 247. He's done it just about every week, except against the Colts and Titans. Colts, he only missed it by 3 yards. 4 yards if we're going there. So I'm going to trust it. I'm going to take the higher on that. Because, again, they're playing for it. They want to get this game locked up. They don't want to put a risk behind the Titans beating them. I think they're going to go full-fledged. Let's go. And then I think at a certain point they're going to have to ride ETN. He got 74 against them and 2 touchdowns. So I like the touchdowns, but I also like the rush yards. If you're braver, take the touchdowns. I think he gets 1. I think he gets 1, especially against the Colts. Like I said, locking up this game. So these would be the 4 I'm looking at. Again, guys with something to play for. And we will move on from that game. So that does it for the morning slate. So let's move on to the large afternoon slate. Very odd large afternoon slate. So Bears are playing for something, which is good news for them. Detroit is playing spoiler against a division rival, so I think they're going to play a little bit stronger, maybe not the whole game, but they're at least going to play them a little harder, I think. But Detroit, 10th against quarterback, 25th against running back, 2nd against wide receiver, 18th against tight end. As for the Chicago Bears, 5th against quarterback, 19th against running back, 3rd against wide receiver, 14th against tight end. So they're playing for something. Caleb Williams wants to go into the postseason hot. He wants to feel himself. He wants to, he wants to be feeling good. He has been throwing touchdowns lately. He absolutely has. Carries over this week. Gets 2. I like him to get 2. I also like the passing yards, but I like this little bonus here, especially because we're taking lower risks up there. I think he gets 2. But we're going to look at wide receiver as well because Luther Burden has been great because, what's his name? Romadunze has been hurt. He's practiced fully. He was hurt, but look at that. Hard to argue. 4.5 receptions. I just feel like that's light even for him because let's just even see. I'm not even seeing Romadunze, so I think he might be out. But I do like David Montgomery in this game too, because I think they are going to rest Jamar Gibbs at some point, because again, they're not playing for anything. Looking to play spoiler. I think they're going to feature Montgomery a little bit more in this game, so I like him at 34 yards. And then hard to argue DJ Moore with how bad their receiving core, or how bad they guard against receivers. He's not been strong, but 3 receptions just seems good. I'm not going to trust. I'm going to just stick with those 3. Those would be my 3 right there for this game. So let's go ahead. Let's remove those. Let's move on to another game. So again, Detroit, Chicago, obviously leaning heavy Chicago. Chargers at Denver. I believe Chargers are benching everybody. Yep, they're playing Trey Lance. So Broncos, on the other hand, are playing for the number 1 seed. So let's go ahead. Let's look at what we are dealing with here. Chargers, good defense, but again, they're going to be resting a lot of guys. Denver, good at everything. They're going to be playing a lot of guys. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to take Bo Nix at 218 and a half. Just again, Chargers are going to be resting people. Casey, not a great game, but he's done great pretty much every other week. He's inconsistent, I will say that, but he's young. Not holding that against him, so that's what I'm saying. 218 seems very doable here. I'm going to trust that. Sutton has been very good. Again, they have him low because they don't know how long they're going to play in this game, but they have to win this game to even have a chance at the 1 seed, so I think 5 receptions is definitely doable. Trey Lance, on the other hand, you want to believe in the kid, but I don't know. Just hard, so I'm going to take that 167. I'm going to take that lower. Just because, again, he has promise, he always has, but he has never really made it click, so I'm not going to put all my eggs in this basket, so we're just going to leave it there. I'm going to take the 2 field goals on Dicker, though. I do think that does happen. I think they can actually get to a point where they are able to kick field goals, and he's the best kicker in the league, so these would be my 4 here, trusting those Denver Broncos to keep their starters in enough to win the game, and basically hoping the Chargers play very mediocre. Run the ball a lot, get in field goal range, and kick it. So, Washington at Philadelphia. Not even giving us anybody because, again, Philadelphia is resting everybody. Washington, I'm going to assume, is going to rest a lot of people. So, moving on. Miami at New England. New England has to win to get the number 1 seed. Miami's trying to play spoiler, so we don't know how many starters are going to be playing, but Mike McDaniel's probably playing for his job. If he can win this game, I think it gets him another year. I'm going to be honest. If he can win this game, I think he definitely gets another year. So, the Miami Dolphins, they have the 11th, giving up the 11th most points to quarterback, 12th to running back, 19th to run a wide receiver, and 3rd to tight end. So definitely a tight end issue. New England has given up the 22nd most to quarterback, 28th most to running back, 20th to receiver, and 12th to tight end. Makes me scared to play a couple people here. But Henderson has come out. He has been a stud lately, minus that Baltimore game, but I think, yeah, got hurt. Got 19 carries, 82 yards. I think they're finally realizing this is their guy. So let's go ahead. Let's take those rushing attempts at 14. They're starting to realize it. He's gotten it every week except the New York Giants. So let's go ahead and trust that there. Hunter Henry, I think, has a nice game this week. I think he gets in the end zone against Miami. They're bad against tight end. I think he can do it. I'm going to trust that. The question comes where we play Quinn Ewers. So, good game against Cincinnati, average game against Tampa Bay, terrible game against Cleveland. So, $200 is a lot. I'm going to take the lower on that. Taking the lower on Ewers for that. Drake May, on the other hand, can I do the touchdown? Can I double that up? I can. Okay, great. Can take him at the passing touchdowns just because I think he has another good game. Look what he did against the Jets. They're playing for that number 1 seed. They're going to need to score points to if it comes down to a tiebreaker. So these would be the 4 I'm looking at here. Let's clear those out. to Arizona at the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think the Rams are really playing for anything at this point other than seeding. So I don't think they're playing a lot of guys. Yeah. Oh, Stafford's there. Okay. Let's see. Are the Rams playing for anything? Okay. No. There we go. Okay. That's my gut feeling too. So I'm going to take lower on Nakua. Did Cardinals say anything? No, they haven't said anything. I can see McBride playing just because he's McBride. So let's go ahead and trust those 7 receptions. He could get that in the first quarter. Stafford at 269. I'm going to take the lower because, again, I do think they do rest their guys at a certain point. This game could get that out of hand. Brissett, on the other hand, I think is playing for a job. At least a backup one. I'm going to take that 248 on him. So those would be the 4 I'm looking at just because, again, with the situations we're looking at, definitely something that resting starters does seem conceivable. So I'm going to take the lower on all the Rams because, again, they could definitely get a half. So those would be my 4. I got to sneeze again. My God. All right, closing out with KC at Las Vegas. So both teams, nothing to play for. I think Travis gets in the end zone because this could be his last game ever. So I think that definitely happens. Ashton Genty. Let's even look. Let's just see. 29th against tight end, but again, I still think they try to get Kelsey in the end zone. Wide receiver 9th, running back 9th, quarterback 16th. As for the Chiefs, 19th against quarterback, 26th against running back, 21st against wide receiver, and 26th against tight end. Not a whole lot to play for here, but I still think they get him the ball. I think they try to get him, again, going into the offseason with confidence. So taking that 75. Where is that, like, 5th string quarterback? There he is. 139.5. I'll take the lower on that. Take the lower on that. And what other Raiders do we have? There's really not a lot to play for. So those would be my 3. I think they're going to try to get him in the end zone any way they can. So those would be my 3. So let's go ahead. Let's build our tickets here. Let's start with our morning one. It's so hard. Okay, start with Myles Garrett. Burrow holds the ball. Let's go for the 2. I believe in you, Myles. Let's go. Joe Burrow as well, just because, again, I think this is an audition for him to be traded potentially, show off what he's got left in the tank. Oh, did they already take Joe off? Is he benched? No, there he is. 242. So, yeah, I think Joe gets it done just to basically make teams clamor to trade for him. There are people in my life that thinks he is going to Los Angeles Rams, and I hope that does not happen. So, fingers crossed. All right, 62 yards for Nico. 4.5 receptions for him. Lower on Riley Leonard. Those 3 I definitely think are happening. Jacksonville, on the other hand, liking the targets for Jacoby. I am liking the rush yards for Tony Pollard. And I need one more. Okay. I'll take Shuck. I like those. Those would be my 5. Or my 8, excuse me. What bonuses do we have? 50% profit boost? Let's do it. So for $5, we will win $675.50 if we get 2 sacks from Myles Garrett, 243 yards from Joe Burrow, 62 yards from Nico Collins, 5 receptions from Dalton Schultz, 159 or less yards from Riley Leonard, 8 receptions from Jacoby Myers, 66 yards from Tony Pollard, and 232 yards from Tyler Shuck. Let's lock that in. All right, locking those in. So let's move on to the afternoon game. Detroit, Chicago. Again, a lot to play for here. Taking Burden's receptions. And Montgomery at 34 yards. Because, again, I think they shut Gibbs down and use him more. Chargers at Denver. Liking the 5 receptions by Sutton, and I'm liking the 219 yards by Bo Nix. Again, playing for something where the Chargers are going to be resting their guys. If it comes down to it, we're going to come back to that one. But I don't think it will, but not touching that one. Miami, New England. Again, playing for something. We're going to go with the rushing attempts for Henderson for that bonus. And Henry for the touchdown. We'll hold off on that. Little scared to pull the trigger on that right now. Building this ticket. Rams chart. That's right. I'm going to take a lot of lowers here. I'm going to take the lower on Nakua. I'm going to take the lower on Stafford. Because I just don't think they play that long. All right. And finally, KC at Las Vegas. I really just see him getting in the end zone. But he hasn't done it in a few weeks. Hasn't done it since Patrick's got hurt. I'll go receptions on Travis. I'll take the 5 receptions. Already did my 50% boost, so let's do the 40% on this one. Flex it. 5 to win 373.05. Okay. So now let's build our big day morning and evening games. Again, I don't like to usually double up on these, but just because it is something that I think they're going to rest guys in halftime, I think those two for sure. Okay. Let's go back here and double dip, but not necessarily quite the same double dip here. We are going to change one thing for Myles Garrett. We're just going to make it a sack, get that in there. Because I do think he does it. I think he does it this week. I think he gets the record. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Let's get the Lawrence passing yards, and I think they're going to use ETN here. So let's get those 2 in there. It's 5, so we need 3 more. Miami, New England. This is where I'll put the Henry touchdown. I think it does happen. I think Drake May also gets 2. Okay, I need one more that I'm pretty confident on. Let's say Fairbairn at 2 field goals. I think that's doable too. Don't know why that's getting removed, so let's go back and change it. Which ones? Can't be combined. Ah. All right, well, we'll get Henry for yards then, because I think he does have a very good game. All right, and there it is, guys. That is week 18 for us. Let's go. Let me know what you guys do, how you play, how your wagers turn out. Follow me on X at _Justin_sports. Follow me there. Post what you guys think, any questions you may have, everything like that. Use my code TJS when signing up for Underdog Fantasy today for new users, and you will get that $100 bonus when you wager just $5. Follow me. Like I said, let me know how you guys do on X. Let me know. Post those wins. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be making more videos now that I have some more free time on my hands. Been a crazy couple months. I'll talk about it when I can, but unfortunately, legally, I can't talk about it right now. So, yeah, it's just been crazy. So, more videos are coming, hopefully, here in the next couple days. So, make sure you keep an eye out for that. And until the next one, have a good one.